Hi guys, Jared here with Day Traders FX. I hope you guys had a great weekend and you're ready for another good week of trading. Just a quick little reminder before we get started, you can go to daytradersfx.com and get a free 5-day trial to join us this week in our live trading group. We've had a good start of the week so far, took a 50 pip trade on the pound dollar, and let's talk about what else is coming up. So far, Dow and S&P are starting to just kind of slow down and even out just a little bit. We had some pretty big gaining days and they're starting to consolidate as the dollar is continuing to rally and rally and rally. So that's kind of something to keep an eye on. As far as news goes today, we saw a little bit. We had retail sales, which came out basically exactly as expected. Core retail sales, which is really the big number we watch for anyways. Regular retail sales, the headline number, came out a little tiny bit better than expected, but we had a revision from last month. So what was better was kind of made up and what was worse from the previous month. So not a real big mover on retail sales for the U.S. Then we have retail sales for New Zealand coming out later on today. And then coming into tomorrow, we have the German zoo, and then we have a little bit of Aussie news, the annual budget release. So not a ton of news tomorrow, but there should be enough to kind of get things going and keep things going. But regardless, we have a great setup on this euro dollar, and here's what I'm looking for. The euro dollar is continued from this little run up and down here. It's continued to test this 23% fib. Now, remember our little fib trade we talked about. Now, the reason that there's still some potential upside here is that we've made a few stabs at this weekly pivot that's at about 130.15 and have not yet reached it. We got within 15 or so pips of it, but haven't reached it. And then we have this missed daily pivot point from Friday, which again we got within about 70, 74, 75 pips or so. We're currently about 105 pips away from that. So we have these two kind of unfulfilled upper targets. So if we do end up getting a candle opening above the 23% fib, which is about 129.93 or so right now, if we get a break above that, then expect at the very least for the weekly pivot to get hit and potentially making our way up towards that missed daily pivot. But our 38% fib is kind of going to be the initial target if we make a break there of that 23, and so that gives us about 30 to 35 pips of upside potential. I'm looking to get short around 130.50 on the euro dollar. If we can get it, I'll take it, and we'll be looking to buy above 129.95. If we get those 1 hour candles opening. Otherwise, what we may end up with here is just a nice little simple breakout, taking an entry of 129, 70, 75, maybe even down into 65 to short this euro dollar down towards 129.00 and ultimately 127.50, which is my kind of medium term target. So that's all I'll be looking for. But ultimately, I'd love to see if we could get a break above 129.95, be able to trade that up into about 130, 25.30, and then look for opportunities to get short between 130.35 and 130.50 on this euro dollar, and I think we may get that. So we're going to be watching for that, but otherwise we may just be, we might just be left with trading the break of this little ascending trend line here. So we'll keep an eye on that. Pound dollar, this is where we took a nice little trade. We had a sell entry on the pound dollar to trade the break of 130 or 153.50. You can see that's about right there. That turned out perfectly well. Our profit target was even a little bit shy. It was 153.00, so just a 50 pip run, and that thing went about 75 pips before it stopped and took a breath. And now it's pulling back just a little bit. What I would like to do on the pound dollar is look for opportunities to get short once again on this pair between 153.40. Actually, more like 153.35 to 153.50, kind of in that little range there is where I'm going to be looking to get short on the pound dollar again with stops above this high here of 153.85. And then we're going to be targeting 152.50 initially and then 152.00, and ultimately I think the pound dollar is going to make a nice little run down into 150, at least into 150 and probably into 148.00. So again, opportunities to get short on pound dollar between 153.35 and 153.50 with stops just above this weekly high here of 153.85. So nice little run there. We should be able to get some nice pips out of that, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go. The Aussie dollar is just kind of continuing to creep lower. It's not making any kind of strong, significant move. Now, a couple of things to remember here that I kind of failed to mention on all these is we have a missed weekly and Friday weekly pivot for this week and Friday daily pivot from last week on euro dollar, pound dollar, Aussie dollar, and all the rest of the pairs as well. I think all the yens have a missed Friday and a weekly pivot, except for the Aussie yen's kind of working its way back. The pound yen has just touched that weekly pivot. So most of the pairs have missed the weekly pivot so far and the Friday daily pivot as well. So those are kind of little unfulfilled upper targets we have to keep an eye on. So Aussie dollar, the level to watch here is 96.60. If we make a break above 96.60, that's going to also be a nice little break of this trend line, and I'm going to be looking to target that missed weekly pivot there. Which is now a pretty decent distance away. It's 110 pips, so that could be a little bit of a stretch. But right now, I'm just looking to short the Aussie dollar below 96.60. I think if it stays below 96.60, then we're going to continue down into, or excuse me, 99.60, not 96.60, 99.60. And if it stays below that, then I'm looking for this to continue ultimately down to 9,700 by the end of this month, first part of June. And I think we'll be able to kind of reach those areas and make some runs into that general vicinity there. So that's what we're looking for. Of course, more near-term targets will be 9,900 if we stay below this 99.60. And so we'll keep an eye on that. But again, above 99.60, we're probably going to make at least a semi-small stab at the weekly pivot. Otherwise, if we stay below 99.60, then 9,900 should be just an easy move lower. So that's what we'll be looking for. Not super interested in any of the yen pairs right now. They're looking pretty choppy and messy. The Aussie yen is just a disaster. It's still totally consolidated. Everything else is broken out, and the Aussie yen hasn't. Euro yen did make a little bit of a break of this high, and it's consolidating a little bit, may continue a little bit higher, so that's looking interesting. So we've now made new highs of the last couple of years on the euro yen. So it's up there. There's going to be some nice short-term opportunities. Again, nothing too much on the pound yen or any of these the other yen pairs for the moment. I think we've got plenty of opportunity on euro yen, euro dollar, pound dollar, Aussie dollar. So we'll keep an eye on that. I'll have more details coming out in the chat and on Twitter. So follow me at DayTradersFX, and I will see you all in the chat. Take care, everyone.